How's it going today, guys? VSP is back. I made a video the other day and I decided to, I don't know, rethink it. I think I released it a little too early. I was kind of blown away, maybe excited about it, and maybe released it a little too early. And of course, all my videos are basically opinions. I don't measure. I don't care country of origin. I just don't. Well, I do and I don't. I mean, I'd love to have a Macintosh. I don't know, double mono block kilowatts and dream a little dream, but let's get real. Wants versus resources. So we're not gonna even go there. And to all the people that have those, fuck yeah, man. So, like, I've been watching a little bit of Ray Delgado, which is basically, what does he call himself? The chief speaker guy at Klipsch. And he's been redesigning the La Scala. Probably they've been reviewed a few times and whatnot. And, like, the La Scala is not exactly... I think I would like a pair of La Scalas, I think. But, yeah, you know... I'm not really like a classical guy. I'm more of a hard rock kind of a guy. I really like, well, I think I've mentioned, I like Tool. I like Ozzy Osbourne, God rest his soul. I like, oh man, like Alice in Chains. Like the list, I can't even think of it. Like there's so many of them. Anyway, I'm a huge Klipsch speaker guy, and I'm a Paradigm guy. I'm a JBL guy. I've heard some Bang & Olufsen's in some pretty expensive shops. I've heard some Macintosh stuff in some pretty expensive shops. I've heard it all, you know, like not all, but I've heard, I don't know, quite a few different speakers. Even the Sonus Fabers and the Art of the Sound in Edmonton, quite a few. Anyway, I own the Klipsch R7 IIIs. I think I've said this before, but I also said this before, and this is where I become a hypocrite on myself, because I once said that I would never buy a Klipsch speaker. Now, after watching a few of Ray Delgado's videos where he explains why the sixth version, I think it's the sixth version of the La Scala, the AL6, doesn't have a 15-inch driver anymore. It has a 12. It has a different horn, and then it has the tweeter on the top, and it's the same as, I think it's the, well, I don't quote me, but I think it's the same as the Cornwall. Not 100% sure though, and it doesn't matter to me because it's not really what I'm getting at. But it might matter to you, so don't take my words for it, I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, you know, you're trying to watch, you're trying to gather information and stuff, and you know, Ray knew Paul. Like he worked with Paul for 19 years, I think. He worked with Paul for 19 years. Before, of course, he passed on to the other side. And Paul is a very serious guy. If you listen to Ray, Ray doesn't seem like a very serious guy, except for when it comes to talking about speakers. And now, before listening to Ray, I was listening to Audioholics, super guys over there. Wish I lived in the States. I'd try and meet guys like this. And you know, they they measure the speakers. They got those things that measure speakers and stuff. And to be honest with you, I only use one thing in the world to measure speakers, and that's these. And I either like them or I don't. You know, I mean, I am not a KEF speaker liker. I don't like them. Like they're great. They're spectacular speakers, but they're just not. They're not me. They're not who I am. And I knew that a long time ago. I knew that I used to like Cerwin Vega. I used to like I don't know, all kinds of stuff. And I mean, Cerwin Vega is a party speaker. Like, I just love dynamic sound. JBL's really good. I even like the JBL boombox. But anyway, where I'm going with this story is basically Ray Delgado talks about distortion. Distortion. Now, Audioholics and Aaron's Audio have measured this speaker. It's the only reference I have. I'm not going to buy anything off the internet with regards to the measurements on anybody's speaker. But what these guys are doing, I'm going to trust Aaron and I'm going to trust the guys from Audioholics. And because they've measured the speaker. And, you know, it doesn't show as the greatest speaker in it. Well, first of all, they've never measured the R7 III, but they have measured the 8000 Mark II. And I have both speakers, and they both sound very similar, except not quite. You know, first of all, you got a way bigger horn on the 7 III, and you've got two big 10s instead of 8s on the R7 III versus the 8000 Mark IIs. Klipsch, reference. These are walnut speakers. They're very nice. And the 7 IIIs are considerably more expensive than the Mark IIs, 8000s. Anyway, hypocritically speaking, because I did this, and you can go back on my videos, I'm not going to hold back. I said I would never buy amp a Klipsch. I just said I would never buy amp a Klipsch, ever. Till I seen those measurements, especially on Aaron's Audio. Because not only did I go on Aaron's Audio and watch the review, I actually went onto his webpage and I, you know, whatever, looked at the printout and the type out and this, that, and the other thing and the waves and all that shit. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know how to read it, but I can read it well enough. Like, I can read a doctor's chart because my wife's real sick. So it's like, it takes me very, very short period of time to start reading and learning about things. And it looks to me like it's a 4-ohm speaker. Like, it hangs in the 4-ohm region a lot more than it hangs in the 6 or 8s. Aaron can correct me if I'm wrong, because I did reach out to Aaron. He never responded, and that's fine. I'm a nobody. But Audioholics had the same thing, and I didn't reach out to those guys because they're clearly too busy for me. But I listened to Ray Delgado, and, you know, I mean, he's an 8-ohm speaker and super, super, super high efficiency. They figured the 8000 Mark IIs were a 90 dB speaker, where I think they advertised them as a 96 or a 98. So Klipsch is doing something different with their measurements, which is fine. I don't really care. But the truth is in the pudding when it's in your house. So what did I do? Well, the night before Ozzy passed, I decided to buy amp my R7 IIIs. I just wanted to see if it would make any changes. Now, I'm a non-fan of an ESS 90 anything Saber DAC. I don't mind the one that's in the Onkyo RZ50 for an AVR. I don't mind the one that's in the Pioneer 505. It's fine. The Weem Streamer, no, I don't like it. So I've just picked up a DAC that's, I don't know, a Duke Audio, and it's got an AKM 4493 chip in it. And just makes my listening so much easier. I've also picked up a new stylus or cartridge, whatever you want to call it, because I was stupid and bought an RT82, thinking that I wouldn't fall back in love with vinyl, because it's been a long time since I had a record player. So I think I bought that, I don't know, a while ago anyway. So now I've upgraded the whole thing to an RT85. I even got the acrylic platter just for static purposes. Anyway, I buy amped the Klipsch R73s, and I'm kind of lucky because my amplifier that I chose, and I chose it, it was a weird story, that one. My dealer at the time, well, probably still today, but I mean at the time, I ordered a specific amplifier, and he says, "Holy moly, did you just order an amplifier from me?" Because he called me because he got my number. He's like, I filled out all the shit and put the credit card in and the whole 9 yards, and he says, "I'm not going to see that until, good God, like forever." And he says, "They're just on back order." He says, "But I do have this other model." So we left the conversation at that, and I started reviewing the other model. And the trouble was there was no reviews on that model. The only thing I could do is read up about it. And it had a feature that I was really excited about. And that was the fact that on the A side, like, because you got A and B speakers, but A, you can biamp them. Well, biamp has always been something that I've always been interested in, and a lot of people call snake oil or bullshit or horseshit. And I'm here to tell you that that is a lie. Biamping is actually really quite something, especially if you have a demanding speaker, and especially if you have the power to send it to it. And that's wrong, because you don't send power to a speaker takes from your amplifier. It pulls it. It's like a welder. An amplifier is just like a welder, DC power. Yeah, you plug it into the wall, AC power, and it converts it into a toroidal, and it becomes DC power. And DC power is like a battery in your car. And so I'm 220 per side, and Ray Delgado just kept talking about distortion. Now, if you have a high dB rated speaker, and you have the volume cranked up to, I don't know, 75 dB, and you just hit pause, sometimes your speakers will just be just like making a hiss. Now, the R7s aren't quite like that, but I've heard speakers like that. Especially the high dB speakers. Well, I'm here to tell you, Klipsch R73s, they don't move much, that subwoofer. A Cerwin Vega will move like this much, especially if you got like 300 watts pushing to an AT15. She'll move like this much, man. A subwoofer is the definition of distortion. I don't care how good your subwoofer is, until you put some DSP in it and some other shit and some sugar and spice and everything nice. It is distortion. It is for a bass head, a bass junkie, whatever. And they're great. Home theater. You can't have a home theater without a sub, as far as I'm concerned. I have 2 of them in mine. I have 3 of them upstairs. No, I have 2 upstairs. One's just sitting there doing nothing. Gotta have a lot of subwoofers. Anyway, I think I'd need a slow motion camera to actually watch how much the Klipsch speakers actually move, like comparatively to an SVS, which is kind of moving quite a bit, right? Like a Titan or something like that. It's kind of moving quite a bit. And people really like that, that tight bass. And from an R7, I mean, if you can get down to like, say 35 plus or minus 3, that's pretty low. And to be quite honest with you, you're going to put a subwoofer with it anyway. I mean, come on. It's 2025. All these amplifiers are coming out with, or never mind amplifiers. My amplifier has a subwoofer out. My preamplifier has 2 subwoofer outs. There's actually, on my amplifier, it's not a subwoofer out. It's a red and white double line, so you have to hook it up, not to the, what you know what I'm talking about. It's, how to hook up a subwoofer. Anyway, I like to turn my subs like right down, because I just like kick drums. Like, I don't want to just sit there and just like, don't get me wrong, I'll listen to Ratchets or Inferno or something like that, some technical, tectronic or whatever, tectonic music, and just shake the frickin' floor upstairs. I got no issues with that. I like it. Sometimes I get people over and they come and they listen to it and they're just like, Holy fuck. That's insane, man. And then it's only 12-inch subs because I don't, well, I mean, sure, I'd like a couple of Ultra 17s, but let's get real. That's not going to work for me. It's not what I'm going for. It'll also probably screw up my entire record player. Never mind. Because subs, if you don't isolate your subs, man, you are playing with fire when it comes to a record player. And I've got isolation on my record player on top of isolation. And, you can do the old that trick with my record player, and it doesn't even bother it. Anyway, I buy amp the speakers, and these are my final thoughts. It cleaned them up. And now it's got me really thinking about GR research and what exactly they could do with a crossover. Because I have read some threads on that GR research crossover with the R7 threes. Now, I wouldn't do it with the 8000s because the 8000s, and I think I paid $900 a piece for the 8000s, and that's Canadian dollars, so I probably got a deal like no other, even in the United States. But I got some pretty good connections here in Canada. And I paid a fair dollar for those RF7 threes, and I like them. I like them a lot. And if you've got a biamp option, like what it did to my preamp was just insane. Like the preamp will run the phono stage, it will run the streaming part of things. It'll run my CD player. It'll run anything I hook up to it. But I mean, those are the three things that I'm going to hook up to it because I have no need for anything else. At this point, anyway, I would never go reel to reel. It's something I've never even seen. So it's not something that I would even be interested in. But every level was different. And it gave me way more headroom with that speaker because that speaker is designed to run at 250 watts. And it peaks out at 1,000. So that's where that whole monoblock thing where I was talking about at the beginning, Macintosh 1 kilowatt, $75,000, $80,000 per piece in the United States of America, which would be about 120,000, 130,000 Canadian. And you need two of them. So, like, I'd sooner be driving a Ferrari, you know what I'm saying, than owning one. Actually, I don't like Ferraris, but I mean, you know where I'm going with that. I don't need that. There's entirely too much other good stuff that's way cheaper that is not that far away. Well, then again, 1,000 watts, I don't know. I can honestly say I don't know. If you got a pair of R7 threes, biamp them, especially if you've got the capability. Now, if you grok this, you go on Grok, Elon Musk's AI deal, it says an AVR will not do much for it. And that makes perfect sense because an AVR, I've got an AVR in front of me. This is a 7-channel. So if I load 1 channel and then I load 2 channel, I'm losing watts. And I load 3, I'm losing more. I load 4, I'm losing. Once I load it up, I'm lucky to be getting, say this is a 100 watt per channel. I'm going to be lucky to getting 50 watts per channel out of all 7 if I'm running it. So if you're going to hook up and then you're going to biamp with an AVR, I think you're going in reverse. If you had an RZ70 or a Pioneer 805, which is on sale like crazy at Best Buy right now. You could like walk out the door with those stolen, but of course they've had a bad review, a few of them actually, so it's not something I'm willing to spend my money on at this point in the game. But yeah, remarkable clarity, definitely noticeable. Chocolate chip trip was gorgeous on it, just back and forth, forward and back. And yeah, so if you got a pair of R7 Klipsch, R7 III Klipsch, or you say you got R7 2s, R7s, I don't care what you got, biamp them, see if they make a difference. I just like having fun with shit that I own. And I've biamped quite a bit of stuff, so there is differences, especially when I ran my Onkyo RZ50 in 2-channel and I biamp my paradigms. my 6-ohm paradigms, which are probably go down as low as 3. They dig a little. They're a digger. I bet you they go down to 30. They probably go down to 30 for sure, because they're diggers. They're like a big bass digger. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, and that's what happens when you biamp a Klipsch R7 III with an XI 1100 power amp and all the other shit that goes with that power amp to make it all work. Have a great day. Rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. I love you, brother.